Hello, so today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you how to do a backup using Rsync from, in this case it's going to be my iMac, which is here on the left hand side, to a server, which is this one right here in this diagram that I'm showing you. This happens to be a Linux box that I have, but this can be pretty much a Windows server as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be backing up my documents folder on my Mac. Typically that's what I would like to do. I would like to back up all the information that I have here, and it's information that I have that I would like to keep. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have access to this folder on my Mac. So I'm going to go to my preferences, and I'm going to go to file sharing. I'm going to enable file sharing, and I'm going to add my documents folder. And once I have it, I'm going to click on it, and I have read-write options to it. In reality, all I need is read access. I don't need write access. You would probably do it that way so that you don't have to overwrite your data, so you can do a read only, which is pretty much what you can do. You don't have to, but that's one of the things that I would say for best practices. And the other thing is you can go ahead and enable this so that we don't have to type the password every time. I know there's some security concerns when you do this, so if you're doing it in your local LAN, then it's not too much of a big problem. So my documents folder is shared, so I'm going to go to my Linux server, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a directory on my mount folder, and I'm going to call it Mac, because that's where I'm going to mount my Mac. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount type sifs, and the options is going to be username. It's going to be Freddy, comma, password. It's a very difficult password, as you can see. Then I'm going to type the IP address of my Mac, which happens to be this one here. You can also use the name, of course, and then the document, the folder, which is documents. Then I'm going to specify the target where I want to mount it. Then I'm going to mount it to the folder that I created. And that's about it. There you go. If I look, now I have my documents folder mounted, and that's for my Mac. If I go to that folder, just to make sure, I always like to make sure. There you go. And those are my files. Those are the files that I want to copy or that I want to back up. So where am I going to back them up to? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my home folder. You can pretty much put them anywhere, and I'm going to make a directory called backup. Once I have that, I can put the files in there. Right now, if I do ls on backup, there's nothing, of course. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run the rsync command. So rsync minus, I'm going to do update, and I'll tell you why I'm going to do update. This is not necessary at the beginning, but I'm going to do it because if I want to put this file into a batch, some type of cron job that runs every hour, this will help me a lot. So then I can do verbose, and then I can do recursive, which means that I'm going to copy all subdirectories. I want to see the progress and the stats. I also want to keep the times of all the files. I don't want my system to change the modification time or the creation time. What I'm going to do also is I'm going to exclude the parallels folder, because I have a few very large files here. These are my parallels, And as you can see, this one is 13 gigabytes and this one is 38 gigabytes. I don't want to transfer those at this point. It'll take too long, and for this exercise I'm going to exclude them. And it's a good practice just in case you want to exclude a certain folder. So you just type exclude and the name of the folder that you want to exclude. Then you do the source, where it's going to be your source. My source is going to be my Mac, and my destination is going to be home backup. So then at that point, what that'll do is it'll start copying files one way. And here we go. And it'll tell you how fast it's copying the files. It'll tell you which file is the current one. There you go. So it said that it sent all this data, all this bytes, with this type of speed and the total size. So number of files, 398 files. The number of files that it saw and number of files that it transferred. And that's the reason for that discrepancy, is because we excluded the parallels folder, but that's okay. So if I go to my backup folder, I have all these files. And I do have, if you notice, I have a test.txt file. I use that as a test just to make sure that everything is working. And if I go to the Mac itself, and I'm already on the documents. Yeah, so if I do a cat on the text file, there you go. There's another. It's exactly the same. So now if I want to test it to make sure that it's working, I can open this file and I can go all the way to the bottom and I can add this information is new, and I will save this file. And then again, this is only on the Mac at this point because we haven't synchronized this data, and there is that this information is new. If I do a cat on the server of that same file, I don't have that yet. If I run this command again, what it'll do is it'll find the differences. It'll say, oh, this file changed, so it'll just change that file. It'll send that file. A number of files transfer 1, and so it just sends the changes over to the other side. Let's test that. Let's do a cat and test.txt, and again, now this information is new. What if I do what if I don't change anything? I'll just change the modification time. So I can do that. So I do a test.text ls-la test.text. Okay, so this one tells me that it was created on February 18 at 11:33. And if I do touch test.text, if I use the touch command and then I do it again, now it says that this file was created at or modified at 11:34. What do I have here? This is 11:33. As you can see, there's a discrepancy in time, not content. So let's run the rsync command again, and it says that it recognized that the file was changed, even though the content of the file did not change, but the actual modification time changed. So it recognized that the file changed, so it changed it. So now if we do that test again, now it says 11:34, but it did send the file across. So again, this is a really nice way of keeping folders synchronized and keeping contents synchronized between two folders. Again, this works with Windows because you can have a Linux server like I have here, and you can mount Windows systems, and then you can synchronize them over to your Linux server, and then you can keep the data synchronized and you can keep the data secure on the Linux server. And typically you would set the folder, the source folder, as a read-only folder, so that way you don't have to worry about files changing from the server to the client. I hope you found this video beneficial, and we will continue to add more at a later time. Take care.